The first thing you're going to want to do here is setting up your paper so you can begin to take your notes. You'll notice I made it a little bit colorful, gave a little bit of space here, so I'm perfectly ready. So when I'm watching the video, you can go ahead and follow along with me and add some notes in. Again, if you need extra space, you can always carry on to the back or go onto another sheet of paper.
The world is now connected, which means the Eastern and Western Hemisphere are connected. They're connected through global trade. Major profits are being made. Interregional global trade is happening. Many of those industrial nations during this time period are going to create these large empires and even form settler colonies. Basically, in this time period, Europe is dominating the world. They have complete control over industry, over land, and have power. The first section in this unit is about revolution, and really you have to kind of flash back to the section on enlightenment, how enlightenment was really spurring on those philosophers to question traditional government, specifically the kings and their abuse of power. So we're going to see a lot of political revolutions take place in this time in North America, in France, in Haiti, and then in South America. Some of the major effects of this time period is going to be nationalism, especially in Europe, is going to start to really spread because of this time period. So what we're going to draw here is a couple of main ideas about this period. First, you're going to see the light bulb, because the light bulb is going to signify the Enlightenment. We're also going to take the note down that the Enlightenment was hoping to revive democracy, those philosophers like John Locke. They wanted to bring back democracy from the ancient Greeks and Romans. Next, give it a little bit of color, help it pop, post it with a little bit of yellow, because this ideas and new ideas are spurring on. And this is going to influence, so I'm drawing the arrow, revolution. So I'm just going to do, a basic little stick figure here after I write down the word revolution. You can make it fancier if you like. I'm going to make this little figure, revolutionary figure, from France. He's going to be holding a revolutionary flag, the new tricolored flag. And then I'm going to have him saying a couple things so I can remember. He's going to be saying things like freedom. He'll also say things like rights, rights for all men and women. He might also say end to corruption, because they want changes in government. And then I'll color it in so it matches this little French flag of red, white, and blue. The next section is industrialization. So hopefully you remember that the revolution began in Britain and then spread to Western Europe. The Second Industrial Revolution is usually referred to as America, Japan, and Russia. So there's so many details here that you really want to go back over your notes. Think about those negatives, think about the positives, but the most important is to remember that Europe is continuing to be on top, and at the end, they're seeking more resources, more customers, new markets, and looking for cheap labor. And that's just going to lead us into this next section, which is imperialism. So this picture I drew, just something very simple, a factory to represent the factory system. That's where you took those notes about positives and negatives and how it's really changing and shifting the entire society of the world at this time. So you're going to just draw a factory, note that the lights are on, it's bright yellow, there's pollution coming out, and just remember the factory systems changed the way people worked and they lived. So now leading us into imperialism, those strong industrial nations needed more resources, just like we noted. That's why I drew the arrow down. They wanted to go to these places to find cheaper products, cheaper labor, and really to be able to expand their markets. So they went to Africa, they went to Asia, they went all around the world trying to get as much land as they could. Hopefully this picture will remind you of one that we've seen before. So it shows basically a strong industrial nation or nations basically overlooking the world because they're showing dominance, control over the world. They're holding on to that earth and all of those weaker nations who've not yet industrialized, and they are kind of basically pulling out and taking all of the resources. They're taking all of the money. They're taking cheap labor. They're exploiting. They're gaining a lot of power. So I should remind you of some other sources that we've seen that look kind of similar to this to try to show you that those industrial nations are powerful and sometimes taking advantage. You'll remember from the debate we did, there are some positives and negatives to both of these. So kind of keep that in mind. So this is the end of your review poster for this last unit that you'll be tested on. Make sure you go back, you review, you think about anything you've forgotten, and post it up there with your timeline with your other review posters.